So on October the 5th, I decided to try this holy grail of a side hustle known as day trading. Day trading is a side hustle that people say you can make a ton of money in literally a few minutes. You didn't have to go into work, you get to work in your own time, you had that financial freedom, you can go on holiday and still make money, you can be at home in your bed and still be making money. Day trading sounded like me. It was calling my name, and I decided to commit everything that I have and every time that I have to learning this side hustle to make as much money as possible. So the first thing I did was go onto YouTube to just try to see what day trading was. How do I even go about it? And I was seeing a ton of videos speaking about indicators. Now, indicators is that thing that makes it seem like you can day trade in like an automated, easy way. You see a buy signal, you buy. You see a sell signal and you sell. And as long as you continue doing that, you're just printing money pretty much every single day. So I looked up different indicators that works best. I was even going to buy some that promises you that this works. Crazy wonders. But I went for the free ones anyway. You know, some signals that I just found on TradingView itself. Found these signals and I pretty much started using them. I would go onto the 1 minute chart. I would look for that buy signal. The moment it says buy, I'm ready to buy. And as soon as I see that sell, that's when I would leave. Now, surprisingly, this worked wonders for a while. It seemed to just work. But the issue is you end up making 10, 50, 100 trades in a day. You're just buying, selling. And the funny thing was I didn't know too much about risk management then. So I'll be risking like 20, 30% of my account. And as we know, 1 minute is a very bad idea. First of all, you shouldn't be trading a 1 minute chart unless you're some expert. So the first mistake I was making already was trading the 1 minute chart. The second is obviously using indicators, because as you can guess, this did not end well. And eventually, all the money that I had invested trying to go about this strategy was just slowly depreciating. Now, there was one day when I actually entered one trade and I already lost about 50% of my account, but I decided to continue risking, and I think I put about £50 on this trade. Now, I didn't know what news was. Again, I knew absolutely nothing. I just went into this blindly and thought I could just buy when it says buy and sell when it says sell. Surprisingly, news went in my favor and I was able to literally make all of my money back. I believe I made around £500 on that one trade from risking around £50. And I was mind blown because I just saw it dip and I was amazed. Immediately I sold and I thought to myself, I was able to make this amount of money in the amount of minutes. Of course, in this moment, you don't think about all the losses that you've been having this whole time. You just think about how much money I just made in the past 2 minutes, and this takes some people a week to make. Now, about a month later, I decided to move on to trading with EA. Now, EA is basically a bot that helps you to trade. You just give it your money and it does its own thing. How was I able to come across this EA? Now, once you start researching a lot of trading stuff, the internet starts to give you a bunch of videos, a bunch of adverts that comes across your way. So I found an ad on Instagram one day. I was just scrolling along and I found this ad about this EA that's guaranteed to make you a ton of money. Many people are doing it. They just join and they make money, and all you pay is around $30 per month, and they only take this money, you know, from your profits. So I thought this is a win-win. I'm not losing money at all. I'm just making money from the money I'm making. So this was sweet, right? I mean, I went into it, you know, put my money into it, dumped £500 because that's what they ask for. You usually have to give a minimum of £500. Now, believe you me when I tell you, this was the biggest mistake that I would say I've made so far. You'll think I've learned, but I didn't learn anything at all. From doing this, the first day I made money, I was excited. I made a lot of money, and I believe in that first day the EA made me like probably like £20 or something like that. I made a few trades and I was green for the day. The next day I left it, of course, just wanted it to do its thing. I was out that day. I decided to just look at what this EA has made for the day. Now, why did I see that the entire £500 was gone? Bearing in mind, this time I was not exactly working. When I tell you I was in this deep and my aim was to make this work, especially when you're too deep in, there is no going back in trading because you're too deep in. I had this £500 disappear before my eyes, and I reached out to the EA people to find out what happened, and they just told me, we apologize, sorry, this is what happened, it happens once in a while, sorry, there's nothing they can do. And this was because the EA just kept on entering trades that were losing. It was losing, it kept entering even more, putting higher lot size, and kept losing and putting more lot size. And I lost that entire thing in literally the space of 48 hours. This just blew my mind. I was just so frustrated. And the problem was, you're with people, so I couldn't really act like I was upset. But you feel it a little bit, you know, like, hey, it was tough. Now I was basically almost 1K down in the space of a couple weeks. You win and you lose, you win and you lose. So you realize that there is still money that can be made if you're just doing the right thing. So I proceeded to learn the next best thing, which is actually don't allow your money to be traded by anybody. Let me do this myself. So I decided to learn from somebody else, and I went onto YouTube, typed in the best trading strategy like everybody else does. And then I came across support and resistance. So you have the resistance, that is what's preventing price from going up. So eventually price trickles down. And you have the support, which helps price to trickle up. So you just wait and you use the higher time frames, the 4 hour or the daily. You buy and you sell. But the person that I found that was teaching this was actually also using this thing known as invalidation zones and stuff. In other words, you're never really losing money. Once you sell at the resistance, for example, if it actually does go past the resistance, then you already have a buy stop order set. So you would then be in a buy, and eventually you wait until the next zone, then you sell, and you try to just manage the trade in a way where you're never losing money. If it goes past your buy stop, then you just enter it into a buy, then eventually you sell, then you have a buy and a sell. It was quite complicated, but it made sense somehow in my head. I was doing this with this guy, and I was, paying to learn from him. It was about like 150 per month, something crazy like that. But again, hey, I was too deep in. So this was the point where I made a bit of money, but I lost money. But overall, because of the method and just the whole invalidation buy sell stuff, it never really seemed like I was making money. It just seemed like I was making money, but overall I'll have a ton of drawdowns that is just still pending, and eventually I'll just lose money overall anyway. So this was one that I later just dropped anyway. It wasn't something that I really enjoyed, or it just didn't make sense too tough. Besides, support and resistance works, but I also realized at this point that I wasn't a swing trader or, a long-term trader. It just wasn't for me. Waiting 2-3 days to cut your losses and all that stuff didn't suit me. So going through this experience with this guy was when I realized that, yes, okay, cool, I need to find something quick. I'm a short-term guy. I liked when I was doing that 1 minute buy and sell kind of method, just in and out to get my money, call it a day. So from that, I eventually figured out, cool, I need to go learn from somebody else. But at this point, rather than learning from somebody else, guess what? I came across a signal group. This signal group was promising 80-90% win rate. I looked at, the previous trades of all the other people. It just seemed to make sense. Everybody was making money. They had their first TP, second TP, third TP, all of that stuff. The percentage was really high. I thought this makes perfect sense. How it works is that you deposit £500 again as usual, but they take their commission from them referring you. So at this point, the signal group was somehow looking sweet on paper, but funny enough, when I decided to join now, all of a sudden we're losing money. It just didn't make any sense. They were making money before. When I'm in it now, suddenly, they're taking more losses than wins. Sometimes the signals take too long. Sometimes the signals come so quick that I've missed it, then now I'm not making money. It was just a bittersweet experience in a sense that I wasn't really able to keep up, number one. Secondly, I also realized that I am relying on somebody. Because I'm relying on somebody, this is a skill that even if I'm making a ton of money, I can't actually transfer this skill because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just taking signals from somebody else. You will never, ever become a good trader relying on somebody else to trade for you. You have to learn from them, but do not just take signals and trades from them. Because eventually what happens when you grow up, you have more priorities and more responsibilities, and that person dies, for example, do you just not make money anymore? Do you just go broke? It doesn't really make any sense. So at this point, I was still searching for something that resonated with me. But one thing I would say that was good at this point is that I had learned a lot. From October 5th up till about February, I had learned so much. There's so much that I had tried, so many mistakes that I had made. It all kind of puzzled all together, and I was growing, rapidly. So now in the month of March, this was when things changed. Now was when I decided to search up another method that would tick all the boxes. I need to know this myself. I need to be able to make money very, very quick. So ideally, I need to be trading on the 5-minute chart, nothing else. And it needs to be straightforward to where I can teach this. I wasn't able to learn from methods that is just so complicated. I can't even tell somebody how it works in literally 10 minutes. It's so complex that I would need all kind of lines and drawings. So I need something that would fit all those categories. And this was when I came across supply and demand. Supply and demand was now the holy grail. The next change, the biggest bloom that was just going to transform everything for me, because it clicked immediately as soon as I found this strategy. It was one that I came across somebody else who was teaching this on YouTube. I binge watched every single video of his, because bearing in mind I didn't have any course at this time. I hadn't learned any course up till now. I have not used any courses. Now that's when I was able to come up with a strategy. I was able to come up with my method, and I was backtesting a lot. Throughout this time before now, I didn't backtest. Not When I say I didn't backtest, I didn't backtest at all. There was no backtesting for me for like the first 4-5 months. I didn't think it was also necessary. I thought it's almost like homework, right? You don't need to do the homework. What I wanted to do was trade live and see the results live. I didn't go back to actually test the methods that I've been learning. I just went straight to doing it live, and not even on demos. I would put in real money. This is something that I would say was a mistake as well as a good thing. I learned the hard way. I learned through losing money. So from losing money, you will learn very fast, because you will make the same mistake again. People who learn a demo is tough, because you really have to put your foot in. You have to be in the deep waters to actually learn trading. Doing demo wouldn't really last long, so I wouldn't recommend you trade on demo for too long. You have to put yourself in the fire and firm it and come out alive. Then trust me, that is when you would say you have really been through it. Now, after finding supply and demand, I wouldn't say everything was just sweet afterwards and I was just making consecutive profit. Of course not, you know, but this was the strategy that I know that now there's no going back, there's no switching. Now this is one that I have to stick with, because it just makes sense to me. There's nothing else out there that really makes sense. You know, there's only a handful of strategies really, but supply and demand just made perfect sense, and implementing that with a few other things like trend lines and stuff, that's when it just made so much sense. And since supply and demand, I would say, you know, I've had profitable weeks. I've had weeks where I've just not lost money. But of course, someone else's strategy might make sense to you, but you might need to alter it slightly so it's perfect for you. Now, since then, that is what I've been doing. Now, it's been just over 6 months since, but I've kind of now narrowed it down, compressed it, squashed it, perfected it to where I now have my set rules that I follow. I have a playbook that I follow. If things do not really match that playbook, then I know that, you know, this trade I'm not entering. Through backtesting multiple times, you guys can actually check out my backtesting video to see exactly how I implement this strategy, exactly how I've narrowed it down. And now I'm literally backtesting this live, and I'm literally getting 100% win percentage. We've learned so much, we've lost so much, but trading is not for everybody. Hey, trust me when I tell you trading is not for everybody. You need to have the stomach to lose money. But now I see why trading is hard and why it's only for like the 1%.